Hey, I'm Nick. Welcome back to my shop. Today I've got a really cool project for you guys. It's small, it uses one bit. Basically what we're doing here is creating a guitar pick holder. Check this out. Beautiful. Comes in two pieces. You have a lid and you have a base, some cutouts here for the guitar picks. It's also magnetized, which is really cool. So you can put in a bag or something like that, and the bottom is not going to fall off. Uses one bit, well, maybe two. The primary bit we're going to be using is a 1/4 inch downcut end mill. And if you want to put the magnets in, you're going to need a 1/8 inch downcut end mill. I'm going to have this file available on my Etsy store for you guys to download with all the instructions and toolpaths. I'll walk you through that in a minute, but just look how beautiful these things are. I've got this one here in walnut, and I'll give you guys a closer up look at these in a second. This one here's in maple, and I've engraved a buddy's name on here. He happens to be a professional bassist. I know this isn't the shape of a bass, but I'm going to send it to him anyway. Hopefully he likes it. All right, let's jump into it. So for this project, you're going to need some stock. I've got some purple heart here left over from another project, but of course you can use anything you want as long as it's a hardwood. The stock will need to be a minimum of 4 inches wide by about 12 inches long, and I'm recommending 3/4 inches thick at a minimum. You can go thicker, of course, but you want 3/4 inch thickness as a minimum so we can get those pockets in there deep enough to hold our picks and to make the lid. All right, let's jump over on the machine. Let's quickly go through the toolpaths. You've got your two pieces. When you open up the file, these things are going to be positioned something like this. So you've got your base and you've got your cap. Toolpath number 1 for the base is going to be creating a pocket down to 0.5 inches all the way around, and also for the spaces for the picks. Toolpath number 2 is going to be a 1/4 inch end mill that's going to actually cut the base out. But what you need to do is put tabs at either end, especially if you want to do the next toolpath. The third toolpath is for these magnets. 1/8 inch end mill will do the trick, and highly recommend that you, when you get your magnets off of Amazon or wherever you want to get them, that you measure these very carefully. So once you've measured them with some calipers, that's when you can do the calculation for the diameter of the hole and also the depth for the cut with your 1/8 inch end mill to make sure that these go down and are flush. For the base, you've also got 3 toolpaths. First one, very simple. That is for the pocketing of the interior here. This goes down to 0.51 inches. I've left a little bit of space so that you have a little bit of breathing room here once this is put on. The second toolpath is to, again, cut it out with tabs at either end. And the third toolpath, same as the first, it's your cutouts for the magnets. These things are really great. I just love the way they go together. They kind of pop. This one's a little thicker. I did this one out of 1 inch maple. Everything else is the same. I just had to adjust the cutout depth once all the toolpaths were completed. And I used a little bit of a laser engraver there to put my buddy's name on it. But as you can see, it looks really great. And I don't know about you guys, but we do play guitar at home, and we have picks all over the place, or they're lost, or you can never find them. So I thought this was a good way to organize things at home, and everybody seems to like them so far. All right, here we go with the toolpaths. As you can tell, I'm not using Purple Heart. The reason for that is that the board I had was a bit warped, so we're just going to use the walnut. Toolpath number 1 here is using a 1/4 inch downcut end mill, and what we're carving out here is the pocket. So this is a space around the base that will allow the cap to fit over. We're also going to be carving out the spaces for holding the picks themselves. I'm pretty sure I've got the sizes right here. You can adjust that larger or smaller based on your preference, but it should fit most standard picks. The feeds and speeds for this toolpath are 80 inches per minute and 60 inches per minute for plunge rate. I'm doing 4 passes for this 1/2 inch deep pocket. And similarly for the cap, doing 4 passes for the pocket, and same for the speeds and feeds, that's 80 inches per minute and 60 inches per minute plunge rate. All right, this is toolpath number 2. And on the base here, what we're doing is going down all the way to the thickness of the material, which is in this case 0.75 inch. The reason we're doing this toolpath here first before we do the magnets, which are optional of course, is that we want to make sure that we have tabs. And that is so that the material is held into place solidly when we go in with our 1/8 inch end mill to do the holes for the magnets. The other reason I'm doing it this way, it might seem a little bit backwards, is that it avoids a tool change. So we can do those first tool paths for the base and the cap using the 1/4 inch end mill, and then we can come in with the 1/8 inch end mill to do the holes for the magnets. Now moving on to the third and final tool path for both the base and the cap, we're going to do our magnets. I strongly recommend you do a few test holes before you actually carve into the base and the cap. So the pockets here for the magnets are being done very slowly. The reason for that is to clean the space out to accommodate the magnet. In this case, I've got a 60 inch per minute plunge rate, and I'm only using a 5 inch per minute feed rate. Once that's all done, we can move to pulling the pieces out from the stock. So here I'm just quickly breaking the tabs with my oscillating tool. Then I'm going to bring them over to the router and put a very slight round over on both the base and the cap. And now let's move over to the optional magnets. So before I glue these magnets in, there's a little trick I wanted to relay to you that will help you to make sure you have the correct orientation of the magnets before you place them. What I do is take a small stack, mark half of it red, and that way I know that when I put them in the cap, they're both going to be oriented the same way. Then when I flip them over and put them in the base, they're going to be oriented opposite to the cap so that they'll stick together. And I'm getting ready to glue them in here. So I'm just using a small stick and a little bit of crazy glue and carefully placing it in the holes, then hitting each of them with some crazy glue accelerator. Once you've got the magnets in, give the top and the bottom a quick fit check, and they should fit together really nicely. And then we're almost at the last step here. We're going to do everybody's favorite thing to do in the shop, and that's sanding, sanding, sanding. I hit these with 120 first and then moved up to 220, and they came out with a really nice smooth surface. And lastly, finish them off however you like. I'm just using mineral oil because it's what I had on hand, but of course you can use whatever you want, lacquer or shellac, your choice. So there you have it, guys. A handy dandy guitar pick holder, caddy, storage thing, whatever. I'm sure you're going to like it once you carve these things out. I'm sure people that you're going to give it to as a gift are going to like it even more. So the file comes in 2 flavors. One is for commercial use, one is for personal use. Personal use, carve out as many of these things as you want for your friends, your family, Uncle Paul, Grandpa, whatever, I don't care. The other license is for commercial use license, and that allows you to carve these things out and make money by reselling them. All right, so I would really appreciate it if that's what your intention is. Please go grab that file. And for all you guys that have made it this far in the video, I've got a coupon code for you to take 20% off of this. The coupon code is right here. All right, so use that, grab yourself a few bucks off the file, and happy CNC-ing. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Thanks very much for joining. Cheers.